To conclude, the planning team understand there are local concerns over the planning applications. We do not ignore the concerns when we handle this application. We reviewed all submit information and all the received comments approval. After all, it is a balanced decision. The planning team has given substantial weight to the benefit of the proposal, including economic and also cultural value to Hounslow and London, and stabilizing the income flow of Gunnersbury Park CIC. We acknowledge the proposal could potentially affect the neighbors. Therefore, we also given significant weight to the harm on our joint neighbors and the listed landscape when we first approached the application. With the revision of the proposal and the conditions, it is considered that the harm has been managed and mitigated. Therefore, the planning team suggests that the benefits of the proposal outweigh the harm, and the application is recommended to approve.
Hi, the last event that was there was the Soho House one. Is that correct? Are
Yes.
you a member?
I'm not a member.
Okay, so I'm wondering what cultural benefit that had to the residents of Hounslow, being that most of us aren't members of Soho House. Could you elaborate on that?
I believe it is one of the cultural events. I believe.
Can you clarify what would be a typical event price ticket? You know, are they £100, 150 going forward? Have we got any idea?
I do not have the information, but then they are also public members.
I think it'd be quite expensive. So for most residents of Hounslow, it's unaffordable.
I cannot answer the question.
Thanks, Chair. Could you perhaps also remind people to keep quiet so that we can hear what's being said? Thank you.
So,
straight to that point. You know, conditions are great, but they need teeth. So could you help me understand how monitoring of noise is great, but how's it enforced? So if that is breached, what do we do as a council to enforce those breaches?
So if the application is being approved tonight, they need to comply with the summary of the event management plan, which we mentioned that there need to be monitoring. There would be monitoring and also report.
You know, the kind of decibel levels have been set for a particular reason, right? But what I haven't seen in the report is anything about cumulative impact. So if you're regularly exposed to that noise over, you know, weekends in succession, has that been considered by planners?
The reason for us to have the amended proposal is based on the cumulative impacts. We understand that there are a lot of objections and also a lot of complaints related to noise. The wind direction and also the wind level at that day. So you can see that they are not exactly the same for all the scenarios. It depends on the setup. And because as mentioned in my presentation, we are talking about 5 years permission. So we do not have the detailed plan for a specific event. So these are the references we have, and we see that they have different scenarios according to different setup.
Rearing its ugly head is Brentford Football Club. There's a suggestion of events there as well. There's a suggestion also that the applicant should communicate and coordinate with other venues, Brentford, the Alliance Stadium, you know, Twickenham, and you can hear Twickenham from some parts of Isleworth, as you can hear Boston Manor and Gunnersbury from some parts of Isleworth too. This is on public transport and also this is on public transport particularly. Who takes precedence?
So I understand that there are concerns related to Brentford Stadium because of a EIA grouping application, but then we do not have any active application right now in our system. So there are no confirmed information about what type of live events and the scale of live events, how many event days, noise level of the.
Or more. On page 10 of the addendum, there's a suggestion. There's an estimate of £140 million potentially can be spent on site here as part of this application. And where would that £140 million? Do we know where that might go, or is that something to ask the applicant? But we've put the figures in an LBH report here.
It is based on the socio-economic assessment,
Mhm.
and then they have studied. Sorry.
Page 10, you're talking
Yeah.
about paragraph 6. Changing paragraph 615. No, not that one. Paragraph 6.22. Again, it doesn't
So
matter.
they have the formula to calculate that one. It is based on a festival in Winchester. It record 8.3 million on-site expenditure.
Chair. Jackie, thank you so much for the presentation, and Joanna too. Just a quick question here. In terms of, I think it's a 2 decibel reduction in bass, you said, from previous applications where there was 90% noise complaints to this one that we're looking at today. Do you believe that a 2 decibel reduction is significant enough to balance off the noise concerns? I ask that. The human ear cannot tell the difference if there's a 3 decibel reduction.
I am not an expert in noise and sound.
Has there been a commitment by, is it in terms of CCTV, is it CIC CCTV infrastructure that the police will have access to? Is there that promise being given, or is it council CCTV? Is it Met Police additional CCTV that will come through funding relating to these events? Which CCTV are we talking about here, and what promises have been made?
Met Police is advising to install some CCTV on the gates. So my understanding is that it should be the responsibility of the CIC.
Refusing an application on the grounds of non-compliance with a planning condition, that is not firm grounds for refusing an application. Sorry, I understand why that would be
That's a helpful
unpopular.
caveat, but I think it's an
Notwithstanding
answer
that,
members want to hear and residents want to hear.
The more effective tool for enforcing against breaches in this is going to be through licensing and noise abatement notices.
Not who does it. What is it?
I feel sorry for the residents who live around. I live a little distance away from the Twickenham rugby ground. That is totally sort of covered all around. And whenever there is an event there, it is a nuisance, right? And I feel sorry for people who live right at the doorstep there. You know,
Is there a question here? Sorry.
Yeah, why don't we reduce the sound decibels that you've got now, so that people are not disturbed? I feel sorry for children who live around there. And how would you control? How would you reduce the sound?
You'll have time in the debate to express your position, but is there a question specifically?
Yeah. So how would you reduce the sound that that's disturbing the people?
We understand the concerns of the local community, and that's why we have the amended proposal, which is a proposal with a lower noise level.
What is, you're considering the application in front of you, and it's 5 years. It's not to be put into the officer for him to consider. It's not his application, it's the developer's application. So
that the local economy, i.e. the London Borough of Hounslow, specifically benefits economically from these events taking place?
I do not have the information about the cafe, and I believe this is more related to the governance of the park. We're talking about the benefits and the harm of the proposal, and we are asking all the councillors to waging whether the weight that we are putting on all the harms and all the benefits is appropriate.
You can ask about what assessment's been made of taxi movements on local roads.
That would be in the event management plan, and there would be sort of event by event basis that would be sort of closely monitor. In the submission, all the taxi would be drop off within the park. That's the intention.
The police and antisocial behaviour point. Thank you for mentioning about CCTV. Has there been any signal from the police that there will be more police present during events to tackle antisocial behaviour and all the other negative externalities relating to this?
Because the police has told us that the SAC meeting is the best location the best platform to talk about the specific arrangement of the event. So I would say it is case by case. It depends on the number of the attendees.
Members, Councillor Page.
How much a year do you need to run the park?
The annual running costs of the park councillor will vary on the condition of those buildings that within our lease. So an example being next year, there is 1.8 million of cyclical repairs that fall due, which include internal, external decorations, roof repairs, rainwater goods, etc. What I have to do is to build a reserve in order to meet those exceptional cyclical maintenance issues. And of course, many of the assets in the park are 200 years old. So the day-to-day repair bill, candidly, is unpredictable because there's been a history of underinvestment in many areas of the park. It has benefited from lottery money, but that lottery funding was concentrated in only a very specific area of the park. And so large swathes of the park remain unimproved, frankly, since the 1950s and 60s when the last wave of investment was made.
Okay, and just to clarify, it's because the Ealing and Hounslow Council aren't funding you that puts you in this position where you have to have all these events. Is that
okay,
right?
Ealing and Hounslow Council committed to a 10-year funding package, tapers in 3-year chunks. So since 2018, the real value of that fee has declined 48%.
Right, okay.
It will, in current trajectory, the two councils are empowered to cease all funding under that agreement by 2028. The council is 25 years. So I've got another 15 years of that 10 of it is funded. So we have to make some provision for a long-term maintenance of a park without any prospect of public support.
Yep, okay, noted. And obviously where you can give to residents and the council an assurance that you can have less drum and bass and more of the other kinds of events, or will you just go for the ones that pay the most?
There is a commercial consideration because, again, I understand the comments from the representatives who oppose this application about the over-commercialisation of the park. But what I have to do is get the best return because 100% of our net income is invested back into the park. Do try and strike a balance, and candidly, Councillor, I and Elizabeth, who sits next to me, have refused acts in the past that we felt were not an appropriate fit for Gunnersbury Park, but we program the park. Our trustees had a long discussion about whether we should exercise essentially a censorship of different musical forms. They felt that that was not appropriate, but an over concentration of what's called EDM, that's electronic dance music. But the reality of it is that's what sells tickets at the capacities we're talking about. Taylor Swift will fill 50 to 70,000 soccer stadiums, but that 30,000 capacity is very much around the EDM. But we are pushing hard against that, and we want a much more varied portfolio of equipment in negotiations with a company that will perform effectively adult cabaret. I mean that in a tasteful way, is of concern. But what I would also say is it's all within the license limit, and this planning application offers up a reduction in the base level from that license. So we were already granted permission in March, but we have taken on board that that has a degree of unpopular sound down.
Okay, my last question. So how much do you make per event? So taking the Soho House one as an example, that was on a Thursday night. Roughly, what's the profit that goes back to the park? Are you able to disclose that?
I can't disclose
roughly.
Commercially confidential. No, hang on, if you don't mind. Sorry, through the chair, forgive me. What I would say is the gross that we pulled in from the events last year was circa £950,000. Now that's from 15 days. So 15 days events grossed £950,000. The total value of the public funding to us from combined of both councils is 500 grand. So we generated almost twice as much from 15 events